she started out with, questions. What's the thing that I'm bringing? What is the thing I want to focus on? What's the meat of the matter? And I had been studying with David LaChapelle, a spiritual teacher, for 6 years, and he had just passed away, and I was feeling pretty lost. I was feeling like a lost puppy. I wasn't sure what area of my work to focus on next. A lot of my work had come out of studying with him. I work as a spiritual mentor that came out of his spiritual mentorship. And so when he passed, I really felt at a loss as to how to continue. And so that was really the question that I was bringing, is how to continue and in what area to continue. I'd also studied some sound healing with him, and that was important to me, but I didn't know, with him passed, since this work was coming out of study with him, I really had to own it myself, and I was having a hard time making that transition. So we met on her patio with this paper and all these pens, and she went through a whole series of questions about what I was thinking in terms of my work, and so there were all these sections that emerged about sound healing, coaching, and I also like to organize events. So there was also that question, like, maybe I should just get into event organizing. It's less intensive, that kind of thing. And that I put on one of the sections. And then there was a section where she was asking me about my experience in losing David as a teacher, and this word shattered. I wanted to write the word shattered because it felt like that was a shattering of a container that held my work. And so I looked at all these sections. It seemed the mind map process was teasing out all these things that I was holding in my mind but didn't have a lot of organization to. I knew I wanted to continue with sound healing. I knew I wanted to continue with coaching. I wasn't sure if I should add organizing on top of it. It felt like a lot of different things that I could focus on, and yet there's only 24 hours in the day, so I wanted to focus on one thing. And so in teasing it out on paper, it felt to me like I could understand what I was thinking. And then at the end of this experience, we were just settling down into a kind of quiet space after having probed through questions and answers, and then a dragonfly came and landed in the middle of the mind map. There was this word that was action in the middle of the mind map, because all of this was about action. What do I do? And the dragonfly landed right on that word action. We both, we were sitting across the table from each other. We both were going, whoa, that was a nice blessing, And then it circled around, and then it came back, and it landed on all these key sections of the mind map. And it landed like 5 or 6 times. It was crazy. We were just like, our mouths were going, and it didn't land on a chair, it didn't land on the table, it didn't land on, blank space. It was landing on these sections, and it was such a nice confirmation of the work that I was putting out there. And then it left and it landed on my back. So it was sort of like, okay, do you get it? Do you get it? And that feeling of lostness really started moving, really started dissolving with the mind map experience, because the dragonfly experience was so potent, and because I felt this support from Juanita, who was doing the mind map with me, and Charlie, who then followed up with me later on the mind map. I felt an arising of support from other areas in my life that confirmed that, yes, it's still okay, to move forward in this work without the master teacher. You become the master teacher, or life becomes the master teacher. So it was a really, the beginning movement of that perspective really shifting for me. And lots of other friends and supporters too also arising to help that transition. But it really was a shift of gaining that sense of support, that I'm still supported in this despite the loss of the teacher. I shared it with Jonathan, my husband, and Gabriel, my son. He was very excited about my son was really excited about the dragonfly story. It's just, you know, it's one of those magical moments that it's confirming of the magical aspect of life. And so I think he was inspired by that. And my husband had actually done a mind map as well and found it really beneficial. So his experience actually helped me feel interested and trusting of the experience. So